Hi, my name's Steve Wakefield and I'm here to talk to you today about Testenium solutions and who are Testenium solutions, why they're attracting such attention in the testing world at the moment, and how they can help your organization. Testenium solutions have been working with testing applications for some time now, about 3 years, and they have a couple of products. One of them we're going to talk about today, which is testing as a service, and the other one is encryption as a service. That's something that, if you want to understand what we're doing with encryption and encrypting databases or encrypting non-structured documents that have to leave go outside the firewall, happy to talk about that. You'll see at the end of this presentation there are some contact details. Either contact us and we'll explain what we're doing with that and how we're taking. A lot of people are very excited at what we have to offer there, or there is another presentation on the website about encryption as a service, but as I say, that's not something we're talking about today. We're talking about testing as a service. Testing as a service, therefore, it is cloud-based, it's on the internet, you log on to an environment that is unique to your company, and you can run your testing, complex, sophisticated testing, from the internet. So this helps save time and money for organisations, but it also has another benefit, which is including the productivity of organisations, and you'll see why we can say that as we go through this presentation. As I said, there has been some really great interest from organisations as they see the capability and functionality of the Testenium environment, which was created by Dr. Aras, and he has taken it to a number of organisations who have had a look and have seen that yes, they can save time, yes, they can save money, and yes, they can improve the productivity. Also, one of the other benefits is they actually improve the final application. The quality of the final application is greatly enhanced because of the techniques that we use as we go through the process from development all the way through to the final delivery of the product to the end user. Mr. Alan Jones QC is based in London and is helping build the company in the UK, but this is a worldwide company. We are talking to organisations US, all over Asia, Africa and Europe, so it's growing quickly. You will hear of us quite a lot as we go through the next couple of years. Just one quote I've used here, because this is a common one that we see and hear often. Aidan was very happy with the usability of the product. It is very easy to use, it's instinctive as you go through it. If you've been through quality assurance testing before, then you will most certainly recognise things as you go through the training. It doesn't take a lot to be trained. You're up and running very, very quickly, and as Aidan said, he'd recommend this service to anybody who is developing new applications. Let's talk a little bit about application and the application expectations. It might seem fairly obvious, this, but it's something that I think needs to be said to begin with, because it shows you where we come from and what we have to offer. We know that any new applications must have a business benefit. There's no point in spending a lot of time, money and effort of some people who are of limited resources in an organisation if it hasn't got the business benefit. We also know that any new applications must be functionally rich. if they've only got one or two functions. But if your customers are using your new application, they will very quickly point out if they don't feel that it has the functionality that they would expect. Has to be usable. It has to have it has to be. People have to be able to use the system very easily, not complex, and therefore the customer journey must be smooth, and that people must see when they receive the application. It must be fairly intuitive, really. But how can an organisation simulate these expectations? These are pretty open to discussion. Any of these, perhaps not business benefit. And again, even if you could simulate these expectations, there is limited resources available, both in terms of money and in terms of time of valuable people within the organisation, because we know that software cycles are getting shorter. Updates are required a lot more often to react to competition or to react to customer demands. Budgets are getting tighter. Programmers are moving on regularly, so that something that somebody built, just 12 months ago, now needs to be updated. You suddenly find you haven't got the people around that built the original program, or if you sent it offshore to be built, then again they've had a turnover of staff, so people have to sit down and understand the application before they can actually start to change it. And of course, when finally release the solution into the great public domain, if there are any issues, believe me, we all know they will be magnified through the social media. People are very quick to criticise. There has been some good news recently, as you can see. The cost of testing, according to a panel of CIOs, as of 2019, had come down from a high of 35% of the entire IT budget, which is multi-millions of dollars or pounds or euros or yen. It's come down from 35%, about a third, to about 23%, about a quarter. What was also suggested was that perhaps people have gone as far as they can in this. So one way of reducing the testing is to pass it on to a third party, where the cost of labour is not so much. However, there is a downside to that, as in you don't have total control over the testing functionality and what is tested. You may have some reports, but it's the final outcome and output of the final application is perhaps not as guaranteed as it could be if it was in-house. If it's in-house, it's you can be a lot more critical. So what do you do about it? Cost of testing has come down. Perhaps we've reached a base where any more would start to affect the final product. Is there another way? And of course I'm telling you, yes, there is another way. But before that, let's talk a little bit about development and testing. There is a finite number of skilled programmers, and that's why a lot of organisations, some applications they will develop in-house, a lot of applications they will ask third-party organisations to complete, and then when those applications have been developed, they come back and are tested and critiqued in-house, and then it's then returned for the third party to include the critiques in the new update. That can go for some time. That bouncing of this is what we meant, no, okay, this is what we delivered, no, it wasn't quite what we meant, can you do it, and that ad infinitum if you're not very careful. Database requirements of a project can be challenging, as we all know. Again, it takes some skilled resource to do that. So being able have a solution that will not only develop and help develop the code for the apps, but also for the database. And therefore, if there is a problem with the database, say 2 date formats are in the database, changing it automatically rather than doing a manual change and having to go and find out all the places where the wrong date format is used, can be problematic, but it's not something that happens in Testenium. As we know, we're not just talking about one project at a time. In fact, organisations have projects within projects where you have batches of updates running through, and as they run through the organisation, then it gets implemented, then the next batch comes along. That's brilliant until one batch starts to slow down, perhaps a rescheduling of priorities due to competition. Therefore, what you'd like to do is to be able to move batch 3 forward, so it's the next batch that comes in, and batch 1 and 2 have to wait. How do you do that? How do you organise that if part of that is an upgrade database? How is that going to affect the functionality that you're building out? Can you include some functionality in 1 and 2 in order to be able to get 3 through there easily, or is it a complete rewrite? With Testenium, it's not. That's what is so good about the system, being able to build, use the solution, Testenium solution. As it said, do you add more functionality or move the project to quality assurance? When do you do that? If you have business pressures to change what was originally planned. The thing about quality assurance is that the teams are under a lot of pressure consistently. Quality assurance has to be done at the end of a project, obviously, because the next step is to release it into the big wide world. So therefore, getting QA right is vital if you are not to affect the reputation of the business. However, as new functionality comes through, you have to build scripts that will actually test the functionality of when people get things right, and more importantly, when people get things wrong. If people put the wrong things in the wrong fields, what happens? Does it crash the database? Does it send people to the wrong part of their journey? Or does it just accept it and then you have wrong data in the wrong places? So all those things have to be tested. And of course, in today's world, people don't just interact with applications on their laptops or desktops. They've got tablets, they've got mobile, they've got browsers. So it's a very, very complex environment. And really, we need to test all of those environments, and multiple ways of people getting things right, and, as I said, more importantly, getting things wrong. So IT departments need a tool that will simulate the real world environment, as in people looking at the application through mobile, through their tablets, through the browser, through the desktop, through the laptop, all coming into the environment at the same time. How do they see it? How do they view it? Is it something that is acceptable to end users? Really, if we can generate code for the app that so 80% of the code never needs to be touched again, based from a data model that you produce. So rather than saying to a third party, here is a design of what we're looking for, here is a data model of what we're looking for, is the data design, put it into a user interface or even through an Excel spreadsheet into the system, it generates 80% plus of the code before your skilled programmers need to look at it. Think of the productivity enhancement through that. Exactly the same with a database. Actually building a database through data models that you supply through common facilities or the user interface that actually we do have. And it has to be generic enough to accommodate the mobile, internet and desktop processors, and be online. Ideally, if it's online, it means that people, particularly in today's world, as we're still going through people working from home, and that is likely to continue in the foreseeable future. So working within teams whilst being online, whilst being able to test, look at the reports, make changes rapidly to the system, to where any errors have been found, and then retest to make sure it works, so it's ready for integration testing. The key is, again, is this cannot be expensive, so we need to save time, we need to save money, and we need to improve the productivity, is what Testenium does. So, as I say, it is a testing as a service solution. It is an environment, and you will have an environment within an environment. Hardware is not an issue. It's already there, already sat, waiting for you to use it. You do not have to purchase any hardware. You do not have to purchase any compilers or specific to this project, or because within the testing environment, no database costs are there. You've not got to maintain the system, so it doesn't cost you anything to maintain the system. We do all that. You simply run your tests on the system, receive the reports, make changes until you feel that your application is ready to go. As I say, the system does generate code, it generates database applications, and you can run unlimited test cases. So your testing and QA needs are met by the one solution. It is not expensive because it is on the cloud. It is a service. What we like to do is run pilot projects. That's where we feel we can demonstrate to you the capability of this system, the power of the system, and how you will get so much out of this system. So if you contact us, we can arrange a demonstration that will show you exactly how this works from a technical perspective. We can then arrange a pilot so that we can take one of your projects, run it through the system, and show how this will help you save money. It will help you be a lot more productive and get your applications out to the end users so much quicker than you currently are. So that is it. This is Steve Wakefield. I've really enjoyed giving this presentation. Hopefully that's piqued your interest. Please email us on info@testenium.com or call on 0207 096 9561, and we look forward to speaking to you and demonstrating just how we can help you and your company go to ever greater success. So thank you very much.